Man, this is like the good old days. Here I am by myself going live. John's supposed to be here. John! I'm live. John! Hurry! I'm live, John. I'm waiting for John. Has anybody seen him? Whoops. John. He walked out of the room and he said, I'll be right back. He only had 4 flights down and 4 flights back up. Oh, he's back. You can just stick it here, thank you. He's such a good guy. I'm like, did you bring that basket up? And he's like, what basket? I'm like, the basket we needed. And he says, there's 2 minutes till we go live. And I'm like, you can do it, John.
Did you make the announcement?
No, I didn't. I'm waiting for John, because otherwise I say, hi, this is Marilyn with Done By Me, coming to you live from Magnolia Hall on the Delaware. And then I would have to wait, and then I would say, and here comes John. John's live. As he's panting from running down and running up 4 flights of steps. And now he's locking on. And all is well with the world. What did you do right before this, John? You hung a lace curtain, didn't you?
Oh, yes.
Hung a lace curtain.
Hi, Arlene. Good to see you. I know, I'm catching my breath. Hi, Carla. Good to see you.
We're getting old. The 4 flights down and 4 flights up is tough on the thing. So now I can say, hey, it's Marilyn and John with Done By Me, coming to you live from Magnolia Hall on the Delaware. And we'll go one more time. That was the warm-up.
You want to go higher?
Yeah, it could be
Seems
higher.
like it.
Make me a little higher, John. Whoop.
You have to go up because it comes down a little bit.
Okay. So here we are, Marilyn and John with Done By Me, coming to you live from Magnolia Hall on the Delaware.
That's better.
Yeah, that looks better. So are you okay, John?
Hi, Lisa. Good to see you. She says, hi, Marilyn. That makes me want my wedding shoes back. They're too small for me now, but they were all white lace, and that would be really pretty with that flowers, and I'm like that.
Yeah, that was the wool that I felted, that I made the rose the other day on the live. I haven't finished the shoe.
Hi, Hurley. Good to see you on this cold day.
We've
Not
had
cold here, just rainy.
Rainy. It's warmer, but very rainy, foggy on the river. Kind of day you don't feel like going out. It's not cold, but it's like really that real thick, damp feeling. You ready, John?
We get heavy downpours sometimes.
Yeah, heavy sporadic heavy downpours. No, what do they say?
And then the winds are coming.
What do they say, the weather people say?
What?
About the downpours?
I think what you said.
Continuously throughout the day,
Yes.
something like that. I'm trying to use meteorology words, so I sound more educated, more polished. Trying to make a silver dollar out of a copper penny. But anyway, we've been working up here. John started his taxes. Yikes. And I'm still working on this room up here. Can you believe it? And you saw I've set up my little Valentine display in this room, and that's what John made the reel. And then John went down and he made that really nice.
Hi, Karen. Good to see you.
Was that a reel that you made with the gas, with the oil?
Yeah, I made a reel out of it.
Yeah,
Yep.
is that what it's called, reel?
Yep.
John made a really nice reel today with the oil lamp. And I didn't feel like going down, and I was ready to jump in the shower, and he said he was going to go down in the tavern and do it. I'm like, just put it on the table or whatever. But he found a really nice place, if you saw. It's that, if you remember the barrel, the big rain barrel, and it has glass, is it on the top? A piece of glass on the top.
Yep.
It's a marriage of 2 unrelated pieces.
Hi, Carol.
And
Good
then
to see
some high stools. but it had a nice backdrop and all. So when he came back and showed me and he turned out the light and everything, I'm like, that looks really nice. So that was a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
And
Hi, Judy. Good to see you.
so it's just been crazy here, and it's a dreary day, and I'm thinking we're going to watch a movie this afternoon maybe, or tonight, I don't know. It's a day that you don't feel like doing much, but I did get a few things accomplished up here and pulled out some stuff and decide I'd come live and share this stuff. So you remember I started this pincushion the other day. So when I showed you that picture of the floor, that we hadn't seen for 5 or 6 years.
Oh, thanks, Arlene.
I was stockpiling sewing things that I was going to make centerpieces and things for a wedding and a shower. And I started collecting for that. And then when we started going live, I'm like, oh, I'll add some more stuff. I'll use this on a couple lives. I'll do all this sewing stuff. And I just kept throwing on the pile and throwing on the pile.
Judy says they were watching how it's made and making a thank you card.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah, I like how it's made. Remember, my college roommate and best friend from college, her daughter was in, what was that one? Stovetop Stuffing, I think.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she was one of the actresses in Stovetop Stuffing. I think I told you which one, but now I have no idea. But we watched her, and it was really interesting. But, so I had all this stuff piled up. And I kept throwing on the pile and throwing on the pile, and it just kept getting bigger. And it was starting to encroach a doorway. And it was just not a beautiful thing. And sometimes it's like a sore thumb and it just bugs you every time you go by. And then you go through a cycle where you don't even notice it because it's been there so long. And so with doing this room, one of the goals was to get all these piles that are in little places. Do you guys do that? You start a little pile, well, I'll put it here, I'll put this away later, I'll do this later. I started this project, I'll put it here, I'll finish it up. Oh, I'm going to need this rubber band tomorrow, so let me put it here. And all of a sudden, you've got this big Gomer pile sitting there just staring at you. And like I said, sometimes you don't even notice that it's been there so long. And then sometimes it's like a sore thumb every time. It's like the walk of shame when I showed you what this room looked like. It's a walk of shame. But, you know, if we weren't still in isolation, it would have gotten like that because I would be horrified. You never want anybody to come in and say that you had these little piles here and there and they're growing and all that. So
Lisa says her room.
Oh, yeah, it's really, it's crazy. And it seems like the people that are creative tend to do that more. Your mind is all over and you're thinking of new things. And then gardening season starts and then we've got the seeds and we got this and I'm pulling out that and thinking about that and writing notes and getting books out, and all of a sudden you got a big pile for garden planning and making lists and all. So anyway, I started going through that pile and I got through it. Now I moved some stuff towards this room, and
Carol says she used to do that all the time.
Yeah, I moved stuff.
Judy says then you can't remember where you put it when you need it.
Yeah, well, now I'm going to tell you how this works.
And Arlene says it's not looking like a walk of shame now.
No, it's pretty good. There are a few piles here and there that I have to go through that have moved away.
Good to see you. She said she's visiting Arizona from Wisconsin. You
Oh,
guys
boy.
are always so busy.
Yeah, we are busy. One of the things you do is you see a crafter, and crafters are called influencers, and they sure do influence you. You get on and somebody buys all this stuff and they show you, well, I want that. Well, I want that. Well, I want that. Well, I want that. All of a sudden you want everything. They certainly have influenced you.
Hi, Ruth. Good to see you.
Their room looks great. They just recreated something. Well, I want my room to look like that. Well, one of the things, you know, they tell you about products, so they tell you about glue. So somewhere along the line, somebody said, Titebond, quick and thick, is a wonderful glue. I had to have it. And that was so long ago when I was ordering this stuff. when I was first watching Crafters. And then somebody said, Beacon 3-in-1 is good glue. I had to have it. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I only put in some glues for my project the other day. And then somebody said, oh, clear gel tacky glue. Oh, that's a good product. So I had to have it. And then somewhere along the line, somebody influenced me, which is what they're supposed to do. And they said, Fabri-Tac, now that's a good glue. I had to have it. And there's more out in the barn and more in a drawer here. These are just what I pulled the other day. Do I remember what you use for what? No. But I know that my friends, my Facebook friends, will help me out and tell me what to do. I never claim to be an expert. I tell you that all the time. I'm not an expert on anything, but I've tried a lot of stuff. And that's the fun thing, because you'll be very fascinated, I think, with a lot of the things I've tried. And I posted, I think it was yesterday, John and I took a little class on how to tap your maple tree and make maple syrup. Well, I'll tell you, when you tap that tree, if anybody tapped a tree before, it's easy. The tapping is so easy. But if you get it when the sap is running, oh my goodness, you fill up containers so fast. It's like turning on a spigot, isn't it, John?
Yes.
And you just keep filling all these containers, and you're like, I've got, what, 30
gallons?
Yeah, 30 gallons of sap. And you're like, oh man, we'll be slurping this stuff down for a long time. We'll give it as gifts and all that. Well, then you find out you have to cook it down. And it cooks down to like nothing. It takes gallons just to make like a half a cup. You have to cook that down. And you can't cook it down because it's put so much moisture in the air that people have said their whole house has grown mold from cooking it inside. So now you have to cook it outside. So do you have an open fire?
Hi, Sandy. Good to see you.
And try to do it that way, or how are you going to cook it down? We did that a few years. We tapped the maple tree. We're not doing it, I don't think, this year, because
Hi,
the
Julie.
emphasis is getting things done around the house. So anyway, but it's fun to try. We did it. We liked it. We know almost nothing about it. Like I said, I'll never be an expert on
Hi,
it.
Senna. Good to see you.
You know, you need to tap trees for like 20 years to know what you're doing. But we had beginner's luck in the first few years. We did it, and it was great. And now it doesn't say we won't do it again. Will we get rid of the tapping stuff? No. That's the problem. What do you keep? What do you get rid of? I don't want to get rid of anything. Someday I might need that. Someday we might want to tap the tree again. There may be a shortage of maple syrup, and here we have all these resources around here. And I did offer to, we're involved with Shade Tree in Town, and I actually offered to tap a tree in town. You know, John would tap a tree, and for the students to see how the maple syrup is and all, but everybody thought that was too far out of an idea. So I definitely always think outside the box. So anyway, going back, to show how long that pile was there. So now I was deciding, now I'm going through the pile, I'm going to make all those pin cushions.
Hey, Michelle. Good to see you. She says, hey, my sweet future neighbors.
Yeah, hi neighbor. So, I was going to do the pin cushions, and I'm like, John, do you remember whether I ever ordered hat pins or what? And John said, I don't think so. So anyway, we went online. You can't buy a long hat pin. I thought I could make them, but then I thought, oh, I'll buy those boutonniere pins, which I've used on these projects. So let me open that up. So that's how many boutonniere pins I have. Probably 144 or maybe even more. But it's a lot of boutonniere pins. You'd be sending a lot of people to the proms.
Marianne says she agrees with the tapping of the maple. She's done it with her teenage grandson, and that was quite easy, but it was the boiling down that takes the time.
Yeah. So we ordered the pins, you know. I'm like, oh, I want to have those hat pins, you know. That's how I pictured the project. So we ordered the pins and we started the project. So then, as I'm going through the pile, I said to John, look, it's still sealed. It's a brand new container of boutonniere pins. I must have bought them before when we couldn't find hat pins. A few years ago, I ordered the boutonniere pins.
Hey Cheryl, good
And-
to see you. Hey Lori with an I. She's at the restaurant, so you have to wait.
Oh, hi. I couldn't, you know, I needed the hat pins. I couldn't find them online, so I ordered the boutonniere pins. Okay? This had to be a few years ago because I don't remember doing it, or I wouldn't have ordered the next. Okay, so now I have them. So as I get further down the pile, I'm like, John, you know how long it's been? I must have ordered, before those boutonniere pins, I ordered these jewelry pins because they're not with my jewelry stuff. They're with all the stuff to make the pin cushions and the sewing stuff that I wanted to do for a shower and some wedding favors and things. So I have these jewelry pins. And they
Michelle
probably
has a lot of maple trees on their property.
Oh, that's cool. So, and it was long enough that from between ordering the pins, when John went to order them, it didn't pop up on Amazon. Hey, you idiot, you bought those pins before, and don't order anything, look for what you have. So now I have these jewelry pins, and they're not very long. They're about the same length as the boutonniere pins. So now I have them. So then, let's see. Somewhere along the line, I always use scruffy pins and all. I never bought stuff. I got things at yard sales and I used it. But somewhere along the line, oh boy, I have some ladybug pins in here too. Somewhere along the line, I bought new straight pins. Some class, something I was doing. They were in the pile. So that's what I put in here.
Carla loves the pin cushions. They are beautiful.
Oh, thanks. I put these little, I picked out some white ones and I put them in this pin cushion. So, anyway, so now I had these pins, okay, and they're just straight pins, and I'll use them instead of using mangled up pins that aren't sharp. So then I'm going in the pile some more, and I'm like, oh my goodness, somewhere along the line, 200 sewing pins. They're longer ones than the typical. They're longer than these, and they're a longer pin. Sealed shut, brand new, little butterflies and cute little things.
Hi Nelda, good to see you.
Somewhere I ordered these, and all these pins were in different layers of this pile. That's how big the pile was. And I'm like, oh geez, somewhere along the line, I ordered these really pretty pins and never did the project. So now we get to the bottom of the pile, and guess what? More of these pins were at the bottom of the pile when I first got the idea that I was going to make this. So there had to be, I have short-term memory loss, I guess, but I don't think it was really that short-term between ordering these pins, because Amazon would have said, you ordered these pins before, you know how it pops up. So I have these pins that I probably ordered 6 or 7 years ago when I first got the idea. And then, because it has to be that long, then I ordered these pins that have cute butterfly pastel color pins. And then I ordered jewelry pins. And then I ordered these boutonniere pins again. Then I had these pins. And then I ordered, more recently, these boutonniere pins. So, you know, that's how it goes, and you think, geez, they're all trivial things, but that adds up to maybe $30 or something, I don't know. You know, waste of money, things I didn't need to buy, and because I'm not organized, and because I kept thinking I was going to do this project, And each time I put another layer on this pile and didn't look at what I had previously, and the pile built up. So I was so happy when I got the pile to see the floor underneath. So the point of that picture was, and you all know I have kind of off-sense humor, the point of the picture was there was a floor under that pile. Nobody would have known it if they came in the house.
Michelle says, another crafter friend is doing a button swap, and it made her think of you and all your thousands of buttons.
Yeah, I have thousands. And when I take you around the room more, you'll be surprised at all the things. And
Nelda says, more is better.
Yep, more better, more
Cheryl
better,
says,
more better.
sell some.
Yeah, we're not in, people keep asking me if I'm going to sell, and I'm not in a position to sell. You know, we're still in the isolated thing because of our health, and more so even this winter. We're not even going to a flea market or anything because there's so many germs going around, and with my compromised health, we don't want to mix and mingle. But
Hi, Carrie. Good to see you. She said, I so love this. It's beautiful.
oh, thanks. I'm old. We don't want to spend the time to learn. We don't feel like learning how to ship things and sell things and open up accounts that we can take money and all that. We had thought at one time we would hire somebody to sell some of my excess, and we just don't have the capability. It's very hard to find somebody. I did impose upon a neighbor, and she mailed things a couple times for me, but you know, you still need to figure out how to collect the money, and everybody says it's very simple. It's not simple for us, and right now the emphasis is getting the house together. And you guys are my inspiration. You know, I'm supposed to be an influencer. That's what it says from Facebook. But you guys influence me because you keep us going. You provide love and friendship and kindness and inspiration and ideas and all that. And we really appreciate it. And we don't want to get into the monetization or any. It's just more than what we want to do at this point.
Carla says she found long pins at a thrift store yesterday, and they have crystals on the ends, and she thought of you.
Wow.
And Arlene wants to know, are you having withdrawal symptoms?
Yeah. I'm not buying. Yeah. It feels weird. And John and I were saying how it's been long before Christmas since we went to a flea market or anything. But it's good because I'm dedicated to the room. So we did buy a couple things online. We bought, when we go around, I'll show you, we bought some shelving, a couple like those cube kind of things that are on the side, which I'll show you. And did we buy something else? Like you bought the lighting thing for the lamp, but we're not.
Nella says she just loves seeing all the treasures.
Yeah, so it's fun. So I keep thinking I'm going to craft with what I have.
Holly says maybe see if you can get. Hi, Holly. It's good to see you. She said maybe
Holly.
get some
Hi, Holly.
stars. She said that might help with the glue and such things.
Yeah, that's an idea, but we haven't even done that. Facebook keeps saying, you know, sends us accolades for all that we do, you know, and they try to get you to get into that.
Cheryl says, so what are you going to do with all the things you're making?
That's the question.
There's the dilemma.
Yeah, so we're trying to only make things that we can use.
Hi, Sandy. Good to see you. She says you encouraged her to get her craft room organized now.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm still working, and then I have to go back out to the barn because I have things out there, and I still have some boxes in the garage to go through and a couple in the basement. But it's a long, slow process because I'm working up here, and then I say, well, I'll put this in the basement, and then I go down and I'll bring this stuff up, and then I'll take this over here, and so it's constantly shifting. And we took the tablecloths out of here, and we're going to order shelving and put that in another room. So, and you know what? No matter how big your house, there's never enough room. So anyway, those were the pin pushes, and that's the story about the pins and the walk of shame. And so now I have these things, and I'm leaving this out because in the previous I put it in a box, and maybe I'd get to it, maybe I wouldn't. It would be a maybe project. but now I want to finish everything, and they'll go in my sewing room, I guess. Just cross each bridge when I come to it. So that's out here, and I will come live another day for that. But I found some stuff, and I thought it would be really fun. Put this, I guess, just put this out of here. And so you can see things I've collected. And in piles, I've uncovered things that I didn't know I had. I swear I never saw them before. Somehow, it's just like that green casserole. If you remember, I had this green casserole dish, and I always made that zucchini quiche, and I did a live on it. There's a video someplace about it. It's so delicious. Every place I take it, everybody loves it. And if you remember zucchini, zucchini math is like girl math. You plant 2 plants, and you have 363 zucchinis. And we did all those reels on how to get rid of zucchinis, where John was Santa Claus and putting them in Christmas stockings, and he tried to break in a neighbor's car, and he ran away with one of my old suitcases full of zucchini. So we had a hoot and a holler with those zucchini videos, and I guess you can find, people know how to find stuff on the page. There's someplace out there, and we had maybe a dozen of them, and they're kind of funny, you know. They're just very crude and primitive.
Carla's laughing.
But we had a good...
Michelle says, I call those good intention projects.
Yeah.
And Nelda says, and your favorite color is green.
Yep. I hate green.
And you're wearing it today.
Somehow it always comes to me. And Candy and I one time talked about it. When you're tall, back in the day, they always say, oh, what's happening, Jolly Green Giant? And on kind things like that. And one time when I was younger, I had on a green sweater, like Christmas green color. And somebody said, that's the worst color on you. So I don't know, somehow I said I hated green, but every time I turn around, I select green, but not Christmas green. So anyway, I'm finding all these really what I consider awesome things, and I'm like, these I'm going to put someplace else, because as hard as I try, you cannot put everything you own on display, right, John?
Right.
So when you go around, you'll see I have so much on display that if I found the perfect toothpick and I wanted to put it on display in this room, I'd be hard-fetched for finding a space. So on with the show. So today what I was going to show you, and I haven't announced the name of what it's going to be when I do something small, and today I figured I'll just leisurely go on, and I'll be short or long or whatever. And my friend Rich gave me some ideas, and he said you can call little videos shorts too. But how can a 6-foot woman say, oh, I'm going to do a short? Nothing short. 4 flights of steps up to this room, that's not a short walk. Nothing short in my life, so I can't call them shorts, but I do have something that's cute and snappy and corny name that I'm going to use. So in my travels, I have all these vintage patterns. So some of them I have on display. When I go through, I'll show you that. But these I put in here, and there's no place to put them on display. So before I put them in storage, I'm like, let me show you some of what I have. So this particular shoebox, that's from like 1980, when the shoeboxes used to be hard plastic. It's all children's patterns.
Hi, Susan. Good to see you.
So when my kids were little, I made them clothes, but these are even from before when my kids were little. These are patterns that I just collected for fun.
She says, more treasures.
And look how cute they are. Look how cute. Look at the little smock and all that. If I had small children to sew for, I would still use this pattern. It's adorable. And this is size 6, so you figured...
Arlene says, do I dare ask if you have a pattern of stuffed animals to sell?
I probably do. I haven't come across stuffed... no, I don't think I came across them yet. Who asked that, Arlene?
Yeah.
look at this. Look how cute it is. So now we're getting to, in my age group, and I'm in my 70s, here's a pattern of a little dress that somebody's mom or grandmom probably made for him for back to school. Did you guys wear these kind of style dresses? Anybody wear them? I remember I looked at, you know, you're on these different sites. This is size 10. Could you imagine asking a 10-year-old to wear this dress nowadays if you made it? I mean, if you homeschooled them and they didn't, and they weren't in touch with how kids are, you never get that on a 10-year-old. And, what was I going to say? Oh, my mom would take me to Sears and Roebuck. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Sears and Roebuck, and they would have racks of dresses in there, back-to-school dresses.
Carol
and,
said she wore those dresses to school.
Yeah. And you see in my age group when I look at school pictures, but so often when I look at the pictures, Sears must have made billions of dresses out of the same fabric. Because this one dress that I had, it had brown plaid in it, and it had little red hearts in the plaid. I've seen that dress probably 20 times in school pictures. And I'm like, that was my favorite dress. It had the little red hearts. And I would only have 3 school dresses that I wore for the year.
Carol says she wore those dresses to school, and Michelle says those are precious. Arlene says I wore them too. Carla said I wore pinafores.
Well, here we go.
Judy says I made all my girls' cutest dresses, and my son.
Look how
And
cute.
Senna says, yep, my mom made her dresses.
And this looks even before my time. And when my daughter was young, the coats, I got her coats like this, like the old-fashioned coats, dress coats, and it would have a velvet collar and all, and it had, the coat would be like a plaid or a tweed or something, wool, and then a little velvet collar, which was nice. It was soft around your neck. And then it would have a little matching hat, and they were made by Rothschild. And I think that Rothschild made them in Philadelphia, I'm pretty sure. But look how cute.
Carla says her mom and Granny made her clothes.
And we used to go every Christmas Eve to our church, and I liked the children's service. Even when my kids were long past the children's service, I still went because all the little kids where we went, it was an upper middle class community. And I don't know whether that makes a difference or not, but all the little girls were all the kids were all dressed up. The parents would be dressed up, and the kids were dressed up. Now we haven't been able to go for 4 or 5 years because of all the germs that are around. But
Michelle
I miss.
says her granddaughter is 11 and she loves to go thrifting and try vintage clothing like these.
Isn't that fun?
Senna says all her picture dresses are red dresses.
Oh, cute.
Arlene said her
And
son
look at
cried
this.
when she made things for the girls, so he had to find something for him.
Yeah, I used to make the corniest clothes for my son when he was little, like the little overalls and all. And Stride Rite, I don't know whether you use those, you know, back when, 50 years ago, you wouldn't just go to Walmart and buy a pair of shoes. That would be horrifying. You would have to go to a shoe store and they measured their feet. And I don't know whether you remember, but when I was young, they x-rayed your feet. It was so exciting. You went up this little ramp and you put your feet in there and they x-rayed your feet and the shoes to see if they fit. And then somewhere along the line they decided maybe the shoe salesman and the kids shouldn't be getting that many x-rays. Did you ever get your feet x-rayed, John?
No, I never heard of that.
You never heard of it?
No.
They would put you on that little measuring thing, and they would measure your foot, and then
I
they
remember that part.
bring out shoes. Well, I was a growing girl. I wore size 10 shoes in like 4th grade. So
Hi, Julie.
I would start out, my shoes would fit, And by the end of the school year, I could hardly take a step because my toes would be so curled under.
Hi, Vicki. Good to see you. She says, Buster Brown and Stride Right.
Yeah. And look, with the dirndl skirt, how cute that is. That's like what you wore to the hop. And just look at them. This pattern looks, and these are kids' patterns that I'm showing you. This is a size 6 kids pattern.
Arlene says she got her feet crated.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
I don't either.
But look how cute.
Santa
This looks
says
like
Buster
40s.
Brown.
This looks like the 40s. Look at that. And I remember, do you remember in the 50s? Towards the later 50s, ladies wore lounging pajamas, and this reminds me a little bit of it, but it also reminds me during World War II that the women would wear things like that what did it look like? That you worked in one of those military programs when they had women come in and work in the factories, and they wore like a jumpsuit like that. Remind me of that. But my mom had those lounging pajamas, and you wouldn't want to go out and wear them shopping or anything. They were like taffeta and very elegant, and they might have a big bow around the waist, and they were like pants and then like, almost like a kimono top or something like that style. And my dad bought my mom a pair of them, and she wore them. They had company Christmas Eve, and she wore her lounging pajamas. And then she had a frilly little apron, like that apron that Judy made me, that really sweet, ruffly apron. Every time I look at that, it reminds me of my mom in her lounging pajamas with her little cocktail apron on, and how cute she looked for entertaining. And just look, and all the lace and all. And that's where, when I go through my lace, I'll show you, a lot of it came from like a dress factory from South Jersey. The ladies, I don't think they still do it, but my parents sponsored some people through our church to become U.S. citizens. And these ladies had come from Italy, and they were working in a dress factory, and they got paid like almost nothing by the piece.
Okay. Arlene said she got auto-corrected. It was X-rayed.
Oh, X-rays, yeah.
Santa says it was automobile line work.
Oh, okay, yeah, and they wore that kind of outfit. Now I forget what I was saying. I have no train of thought about the pajamas, and then... Oh, the lace. So anyway, these ladies came from Italy, and they were working in a sewing factory, and they paid them almost nothing per piece. So they just showed like maniacs, and the faster you worked, the more money you got, and they wanted to be the American dream and become successful. Well, I remember my dad invited all these people over for a meal, and two of the ladies couldn't come. One lady, her whole day that she sewed like a maniac, she sewed something wrong. And not only wouldn't she have gotten paid for it, they charged her for it. So she and her friend, her best friend, offered to help. Her best friend offered to help, and they pulled all that apart, and they redid it and submitted it, and she got no pay, but at least she wasn't charged for it. And you think those factories were really tough back then. But
Hi, Dina Marie, good to see you.
Anyway, South Jersey and Philadelphia had a lot of the clothing industry. New York, I think, was bigger. But that's where a lot of the laces and the trims I got were from old school factories. I got them, I guess, in the 70s. But look how cute all the patterns are. They're just really cute. But all these are the vintage clothing. And the big thing was the Dolly and Me clothes too, and then when American Girl came along, they followed the same suit. But look how cute. So now that I have these, And I have so many different kinds of patterns. Now that I have these, I'm like, I don't really like to cut them up. I don't know, I'm funny about taking things apart. And then I think, can I color copy them and then cut them out? Because I have a lot of crafting ideas of cool things to do with them. But all of them still have all their pieces, I think, in them and all. And I couldn't tell you where I got them or when I got them. I just know that I've had them for a long time. And when I was going to do all the sewing projects, I pulled a couple big bags of them to use. Look how sweet. And do you remember, like, in the spring, in Philadelphia, if you go in there, look, one's cuter than the other, and when was a pattern 25 cents? Was the last time. But in Philadelphia, you used to, we always went, there were all these ethnic neighborhoods. So if you wanted kibasi, you would go to the Polish neighborhood. They'd be grinding it. They'd make their own horseradish. Well, there was a market where all the Italians were. And I'm not Italian, but my dad liked food and liked different things. And that's the drummer that I marched to, my dad's beat. So the day before Easter, he would take us over to the Italian market. And John and I are going to try to make a video, just drive through it, and if we can drive through, and make a video so you can see. When you would go down, now there's Asians in there too, and kind of a mixed culture. But when I was young, you drove down, it was like being in Italy. The shops and all, and the meats hanging out, the animals, the meats hanging in the windows, and all the stuff that was around. And then they had live lamb, and they had live little ducks and little chicks live that you could buy. Do you remember the little chicks would be colored, like pink and purple and green? Somehow they could get that dye into the egg. And then they would have stuffed ones, real ones, but stuffed on a little cardboard that you could display. I always wanted them, and my mother would never let me have them. First, they were expensive. They might have been $1 or something. She didn't want to spend the money. And second, she said that that was animal cruelty, so we weren't allowed to have it. And I always thought the lambs were for pets, and I wanted one.
Judy says, I like the doll and me. Hi, Luann. Good to see you.
Oh, yeah, the doll and me.
Judy says, I remember when 75 cents was uncalled for a pattern.
Yeah, and look at this. You always had a beautiful dress spring coat. You would be all adorned with your Easter bonnet, your beautiful Easter dress, and a spring coat. Do you remember those spring coats? It was like a lightweight coat, lighter than your winter coat. And it was so nice, and it would be horrifying if Easter came on a day like we're having today, dreary, rainy. And you're like, but I want to wear my beautiful bonnet and my coat and all. So
I'm the farmer. Good to see you.
So anyway, the day before Easter.
Luann says her mom made one of those for herself.
Oh, really? That's cool. The day before Easter, we would always go to the Italian market, and we would get fresh produce. And I don't know whether we ever got meat. We would get seafood. And it was an exciting adventure because it's a colorful neighborhood. Hustling, bustling, all these animals, all these people. It was very exciting. But somebody had, and it's not just food there. You could get spices, you can get cooking equipment, but somebody always had racks and racks of beautiful Easter dresses. And they were all those big organdy, poofy ones, like this, poofy like this. But it was that itchy fabric that would be gathered at the waist, and you'd be chewed with that, rubbing on your waist during the day. You couldn't wait to get that dress off.
Shirley Shaw. Hey, Shirley, good to see
Hi,
you.
Shirley.
She said, I made my maternity clothes and outfits for my daughter and even my bridesmaid dress.
That's really neat. We'll have to see pictures.
Luann says, my mom sewed a lot for us and herself.
That's cool. So my mom wasn't, she made a couple things during my lifetime, but she wasn't really a sewer. My grandmother taught herself, and she did some sewing, not an abundance, but she made dresses and things. But going back, so there were racks and racks of these dresses. They would just be dripping with that cheap, itchy lace, probably a little lace like I have some of. And they would have one rack that was $5 dresses and one rack that was $10 dresses. Well, all year, my grandparents would give us a quarter here or give us a dime there or whatever. That money went in a can in our closet, and we were not to spend it. So when Easter time came, my mom would, and Christmas we would get maybe $1 or something like that. That would all go in that can. Then at Easter time, my mom would bring out that can and she'd count it out, and I would hope that I had enough for the $5 dress. And I remember always casting a glance over at the $10 dresses and thinking, I wish I had $10. And I'd say to my mom, are you sure it's not $10 in my pile? Because I would want one of those big lavish dresses, not the $5. The $5 ones did not look as good as the $10 ones. But I would end up, I would pick one, and usually it was pink because my mother said, oh, you should wear pink. And that's a good color for you. And years later I found out pink wasn't a good color for me. But anyway, she liked pink, and that's what I wore, a pink dress almost every Easter. I just had to get the next size up. And I was so thin, to get it to be halfway a decent length, it would be like when you lift your arms and you look like you were a bat. It would be like connected like this. I was extremely, extremely thin. So just memories. And I said to John, he'd never been to the Italian market, and his father was Italian. I'm like, you never went? I think his dad went. Are you falling asleep? John's over there nodding his head.
I woke up early today.
Oh, he fell asleep. So if there's no comments, it's because Sleepy John's over there.
I'm current with the comments.
Okay.
Judy says they weren't as near as cool as the $10 ones.
Yeah.
Hi, Margie. Good to see you on a rainy day.
And I told you when we went to the World's Fair, my dad, as budget conscious as they were when we were young, my dad took us to the World's Fair, which costs money, and my dad took us to the Maryland exhibit, and each state had an exhibit there, and that's where he had his beer, which he loved, and the crab cake, and the crab cake recipe was on the side of the beer can, and I showed you that when I did the Jersey Shore dinner where we made the crab cakes, and I used that recipe. But when we went to the Italian market, my dad wanted us to have the whole experience, and he took us to, what are the two places? There's Tony Luke's, and what's the other cheesesteak place? There are two competing,
Pat's.
what?
Pat's.
Pat's and Tony Luke's. They're two competing cheesesteak sandwich places. But we don't say sandwiches, we just say cheesesteaks in the Philadelphia area. There are two competing cheesesteak places in Philadelphia.
They're right next to each other, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they're close. I don't know whether they still are because it's been so long since I've been there. But everybody has their favorite, and they really are diehard fans of whatever one they go to. And they weren't inexpensive. It wasn't like going to McDonald's, because McDonald's hamburgers, I think, were 15 cents, and the French fries were 12 or something like that. I mean, I looked, and these were dollars to get these sandwiches back then. And my dad thought it was such a treat to get these that he really wanted us to have the whole experience. And I remember he got that cheesesteak sandwich, and the meat is sliced so thin, and it's so tender, it just... I'm salivating thinking about it. And they were so good. But I was not a meat eater. I did not like meat. I did not like big, bulky buns like they're on the hoagie rolls, the sub rolls, like that kind of a thing.
Geno's, that's it. Holly
Geno's.
says it's Geno's. Pat's and Geno's.
Oh, okay.
Not Tony Luke.
Yeah, Tony Luke's is by the airport.
He's
maybe?
roast pork,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But I remember my dad got the sandwich, and maybe he had him cut it in half, and I only had to choke down a half. But it was not an experience I liked. But you knew not to say anything. You just took your sandwich. And when you order, they ask you, thanks, Holly, because Holly's lives in the suburbs of Philadelphia also, and I'm sure she's had many cheesesteak experiences. But when you order, you go up and you want one, and what's the question they ask you, John?
With or without?
With or without? With, cheese with, or without? W-I-D. And there's no like lengthy conversation. You order your sandwich and move away. There's no chit chat or excess conversation.
There's usually lines.
Usually there's very long lines to get these cheesesteaks. So those are some of my Easter stories. And so there's the Easter coat. If you were lucky, you'd get this beautiful spring coat. And it would help dig your rough dress into you. And just
And
look.
hearts.
Oh, thanks for the hearts, guys. And look how sweet that looks. So if we can, we're going to try to drive over and drive through the Italian market sometime. And I think some people don't even call it the Italian market now. They call it 9th Street Market. And here's some more. Yeah, and I didn't know where the conversation was going to go. I didn't think I'd be talking about Easter now, but sorry.
Hi, Wayne. Good to see you. Thanks for
It
sprinkling.
brings all kinds of thoughts. And look at these. These look right out of the 40s. Look at the shoulders. Now, those shoulders came back. That one navy sweater I knit.
Holly
What-
says right. It's not even real cheese. It's whiz.
Yeah, it's whiz. That's what everybody likes. But this looks like a 40s dress, this red one. But that's one sweater I made, the navy sweater. That was the style at that time. Did they call them lamb chops, or what did they call them? They were like puffy up there.
Judy says there's a chili house in Springfield. They say sit, eat, and leave. And if you don't, they come and ask you to leave if they see you're done.
Yeah, done. That's like,
D-O-N-E.
yeah, that's like down the shore where we had our shop and our little cottage. We had a pretty big store, bigger than our house, much bigger. And but anyway, there's a restaurant like from, I don't know when, it's at least the 40s, maybe even before, do you think?
What restaurant?
Al's Restaurant.
Oh, yeah, that was... Used to be a gas station.
Yeah, and they had like the restaurant inside, but a throwback restaurant, you know, like a throwback diner, probably from the 40s, do you think?
Hi, Linda. Good to see you. She says she loves old patterns.
Yeah, well, I've got plenty of them. I could be days showing you what I have. But the sign out front, they sold gas also out front, and then they had this diner. Well, they no longer sell gas, and the diner still looks like a throwback. It's nice and clean, and some things have been reupholstered and all that. Nice restaurant and good home cooking, but it says eat here, get gas, right?
Yep.
Eat here, get gas.
Yep.
But it's such a throwback. And look how cute the pajamas are. And here's another one. Look at
Yeah.
the hairstyle and all. It looks so 40s.
Yeah, good to see you, Linda.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. My mom graduated from high school in the early 40s, and this looks like some dresses that she had.
No, Luann, we don't.
And look, this pattern, oh man, this is a 50 center. It not only has the spring coat, but it has the beautiful spring dress. And I remember one of my dresses was aqua dotted Swiss. So it was that organdy, that like sheer that you could see through, and I guess they lined them. And then It had the puffy sleeves and all, and it had the dotted Swiss, little white fuzzy dots all over it. Like, I don't know what you would call it, but like little fuzzy white, and it was dotted Swiss fabric. And that was so high end when you were a little girl. But look at the hairstyles and all. But what would you do with these patterns? First, and then second, if you didn't want to cut them, what would you do with them?
Eileen wants to know, what was the name of the store?
Oh,
that
our
we used to
store?
have?
You can say.
It was Paisley Parasol.
And here's, look at the skirt and all the coat and all. This looks like a little more modern. Did you guys have jumpers? I remember I went to an 8th grade dance. Oh, you know, you think of what I look like in 8th grade. And my dress was way too small for me, that my mom said, you won't get a new dress, you'll wear a dress you have. And it was a jumper like this, black velvet jumper. And I remember I cut it across the body and across the back, and I put this like fancy trim, and I still may have some scraps of that trim in my sewing stuff. I put some wide fancy trim in there so I could get like 2 or 3 more inches in the length of the bodice. Again, I was so thin, I was just tall. But it was like a jumper like that. And of course, I guess it was supposed to be a sleeveless dress, but my mother said, "Oh, your arms are too skinny. You can't wear sleeveless." And so she gave me an old blouse of hers, and we dyed it pink, so it would look so festive for the holidays. And that's what I wore to the 8th grade dance. And my girlfriend and I tried to have the bouffant hairdo was popular then, and my hair was like this, straight. And my girlfriend had straight hair too, and we both like teased and hairsprayed and tried to make these big fancy bouffant hairdos. So if I can find that picture, I'll show you. If you did that kind of a hairdo, it was just all teasing and hairspray.
Judy says, yes, she had brown.
Oh, that's funny. Here's little girls' coats. And look at this. This is for a little girl. It was like the swing style. So I don't know whether I don't think I showed you the pattern, but in like 1970, that's when I will talk to you another time about going on that fashion study trip. I have all my tickets and all my stuff, and that would be something fun to junk journal, that not cut it up or anything, just put it in a fun journal with pictures. But I didn't have a camera. I don't think I really had any pictures back then. But I went on a fashion study tour, and we were to I took a tailoring class in college, and we were to make a man-tailored coat, which means all that interfacing and all that stitching. It's very involved. And then you had the, what are those buttonholes called? Bound buttonholes you made. And they called it a man-tailored coat. It was all just like how they would tailor a man's coat. But my coat was a Christian Dior pattern, and mine is a swing style, which, see how this top here is, that's a swing style. So that swing style, I guess, was popular maybe in the 50s, but then it came back in like the 70s again. And I don't know whether you don't see the swing styles too much anymore. But some of the dresses that I had in like the 60s were those, they weren't muumuus, shifts. And some of the shifts were straight and very fitted, and some of them were that swing style, a little fuller.
Luann says her mom used to make the underwear for herself and all her sisters when they were small.
And look at that.
Hi, Candy. Good to see you. Hi, Nora. Good to see you. Thanks for sprinkling.
Hi, everybody. If I miss you, coming in. It's hard for me to focus all the time trying to. I don't know how some
Laura says
crafters.
she remembers all those old patterns.
Some crafters are really good. There's so many great crafters, but so many of them can craft, keep their mind on it, talk, and read comments. That's not me. I don't know whether I ever could have done it, but I certainly can't do it now. But look at this, the smocking. Did you guys have smock things?
Candy said her aunt had a fun swing-style coat she loved as a little girl, and she wished she had it now.
Yeah, I have some of my mom's clothes from like the 50s and 60s, but I wish I had all her stuff. She had really some cool things. My mom said when she went to kindergarten, my grandmother, and even in elementary school, my grandmother made her some beautiful smock dresses. And when my daughter was young, I took a smocking class. Of course I did, because I want to learn everything. And I smocked like one or two things, and then that was enough for smocking. And you could buy it so inexpensively at that, now I forget the name of the dress. I can't think of the name of the dress company. But all the little dresses were all smocked, and I went to the factory outlet and I got her dresses for like $2 or $3. You know, smocking is very involved. You have to gather like 10 rows or more of the fabric. You had to run a gathering stitch, and then you had to pull it up, and it was really, really involved, and then do the little pattern, and they were really, really cute, but a lot of work. But here's the smocking pattern. And by the time I took the smocking lessons, they had a machine they could run the fabric through, and it would smock it for you if you wanted them to. But I'm just having so much fun. Look at all these.
Got hearts.
Thanks for the hearts. These are
Not sure I follow that, Carol.
all kids' patterns, all little girls' patterns. Now, wouldn't you
Hi,
look?
Joe. Good to see you. She says Polly Finder's dresses.
Oh yeah, Polly Flinders. Yeah, they were
Oh,
really.
Flinders.
Yeah, they were really cute dresses.
Sorry.
And look at these. Don't they look so 50s? And it was supposed to be ladies would, before their husband came home, you were supposed to shower and put on a pretty dress that was all nice and pressed and have dinner on the table like Theodore, Wally.
Leave it to Beaver.
Yeah, what was the mom's name?
June.
June, yeah. June Cleaver. Oh, Wally, did you have a good day at school?
No, Wally was the son.
Yeah, I know. He was a teenage son. Look at those
I thought
dresses.
you meant was the dad.
The dad was Ward.
Oh, Ward. Yeah, that's
Hello, Ward. Sit down and put your feet up.
right.
Allow me to serve you.
Kenny says she wished she had all her daughter's smock dresses and tops. She would make Christmas ornaments from them.
Yeah, wouldn't that be pretty? Oh, and now we're into some of in the back of this I put, now wouldn't your boys just want to wear these? How many people want to make this for their grandkids, their grandsons? They would be a big hit at Christmas time, wouldn't they?
Judy says Ozzie and Harriet.
Yeah, Ozzie and Harriet,
Nora
too.
says my mom wore dresses like that.
Yeah, so did my mom. Oh, and this isn't the these are turtleneck shirts, kind of. But they're buttoned in the back, so they're not, like, stretchy. So what am I going to ask you if you remember? Oh, I wanted one of these shirts so badly. And I never did get it.
Sandy says leave it to Beaver. Holly says June.
Yeah.
Lenny says Mrs. Cleaver wore pearls to vacuum.
Yeah. My mom was almost that bad. She, later in life, she'd be all dressed up every day, and she had this little vacuum thing she ran, and it was kind of a joke with people. But this shirt, it opens in the back. It's not turtleneck. But what does it, a throwback? Who remembers? I wanted one of these shirts so badly. It had to do with a TV show.
Candy just watched Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah. We put it on when we had our grandson one summer. We put it on. Such a good show. Nice, wholesome, fun show.
Yeah.
Like when, my favorite was when they had a cleaning woman, and Beaver somehow got money. I forget how he got the money. And he went to the pet store and he bought a baby alligator. And he kept it in the sink in the basement. And apparently the family didn't go down to the basement. Well, the cleaning woman went down. I don't know whether to do wash or whatever. And she came up screaming, and she said there was an alligator in the basement. So they kind of blew it off. But the alligator got kind of sickly, and Beaver went to the pet store, and they said you have to put alcohol on the alligator's skin. So Beaver knew that whiskey was alcohol. So he took some of his parents' whiskey and he rubbed the little alligator with the whiskey. And then he decided the alligator got a little bigger or something, and he kept it in the, or maybe it was vice versa. The alligator was kept in the toilet tank. He took the lid off the toilet tank and put the alligator in there. Well, anyway, the cleaning woman was screaming and carrying on that there was an alligator in the house, and they fired her because they thought she was drinking they said, somebody's been drinking our alcohol, and she's acting crazy, so of course they blame her. But it was a funny episode, and that's what I wanted to look up for my grandson to see.
Candy says Dr. Casey and Dr. Kildare and Susan and Jill say Nehru shirts. Or
Yep,
was that
the
the
name.
70s?
First it was Ben Casey, and Dr. Kildare, it was the Ben Casey shirt, and it came around and buttoned on the side and down the side. So
that's what Sandy said. Didn't Marcus Welby wear a shirt with a BBC, a button at the neck?
Maybe, yeah. But that was the style, and all the cool girls had the Ben Casey shirt, and it was so neat. And then I remember, first, I made a shirt like that for when my son was young. He was in a talent show, and he was playing the saxophone, and I got a pattern, and it had a Star Wars thing that you ironed on. The pattern came with some sort of thing, and I made him that shirt in gray so it looked Star Wars. Or maybe I used something else, I don't remember. But he wore that shirt, and I'm like, yes, finally I have a Ben Casey shirt. My son's wearing it.
And it says Courtship of Eddie's Father.
Oh, yeah, that was a good show. But I remember the dentist wore that white shirt that buttoned on the side, and they had the name. Mm-hmm. And like when I met John, he wore scrubs for work, and I'm like, John, can't you get that Ben Casey shirt to wear to the office? I said that is so good looking.
That in dental school.
He said they had that in dental school. I'm like, can't you go back and wear those shirts? They look so hot looking. He didn't like my idea, but you remember your dentist always wore that shirt and what, regular pants?
Yeah.
Regular.
Dress pants, and it was a white shirt, and it came across, and it snapped down the shoulder.
Just like the Ben Casey shirt. My
Eileen
dreams
said she had a turtle when she was about 8. It died. She took it back to Woolworth and exchanged it and went home without paying. She thought that was okay.
Oh, that's funny. But here you could make your hubby a pair of pajamas, or your child. I guess these were this was for the kids, but they show the manly fashion of the man and the sons with the pajamas. I'm still thinking, I could have lived out my Ben Casey dream. All those years I coveted. Didn't you think he was so handsome? Dr. Kildare, was that the other one they said?
Yes.
Yeah. And look at these little spiffy pants with the little suspenders. Oh, these are just so cute. And I did make my son these clothes when he was little. He probably still has nightmares about it. But look how cute. I made all my kids' clothes when they were young, other than those little smock dresses that I bought at the outlet store. Look at this shirt. What child would want to wear that shirt? I think, wasn't that the shirt after the style after the,
I remember those shirts.
yeah, that shirt. I forget what that style was called. And then the Nehru, oh man, that was such a wonderful style, wasn't it? When guys wore the Nehru shirt. And they had Nehru suits. And I think those people that, remember there was a couple that, the only time in the last 10 or 20 years I heard somebody say a Nehru suit was some couple bashed a special dinner at the White House and the man wore, was it with,
Linda said that shirt looked very safari.
yeah, they bashed and the man wore a Nehru jacket. It was some dignitaries were here from England or something. I don't remember what exactly that story was, but they bashed the thing and they dressed in, I think she wore a sari and he wore a Nehru jacket, and they just swooped right into where they didn't belong.
Judy said, I made Jeff those and bottom on shoulder shorts.
Yeah, aren't they cute? They're really cute, and sometimes the little shirt had like a little epaulet kind of thing that buttoned, and it held their suspenders up from slipping off. Because that stuff, when I was, what grade was, maybe middle school, those like suspender kind of jumpers were popular with girls, and they had those things, and if you were thin, you could never keep those suspenders up, and you try to hide a pin underneath.
Candy says she did too, even though boy and girl 4 years apart, many times found a way to match them, especially if they were going on vacation, matching shorts or jogging suits.
Yeah, I remember stretch and sew, and you trace those patterns, and you can make one pattern could make like 10 sizes or something. You traced it off on that special tracing paper. And I remember making Richard Simmons jogging shorts for the kids when they were little. Now, just think if they saw those pictures, they'd be horrified.
Judy said, yes, she made those loops for Jeff's.
Yeah, to keep them up. Yeah, or otherwise you had to try to hide a pin, or the whole time they were hanging down, and you wanted them to look so nice when you took them someplace.
Hey, Laura, good to see you. She said, hey, have fun. She forgot about the patterns.
Yeah, so I have a million more patterns to show you, but I think I'll just do the kids' patterns today, so you have something more to look forward to. And then I have them someplace else on display, and then I have another whole set of patterns for something else. And I just thought it would be fun, and I thought as I'm going through, I'm going to show you some things. And then
Linda says the shorts are back in fashion.
Are they really? Oh, imagine. I know they're talking about like girls basketball. They used to wear the shorts that were down to their knees, and now they're up a lot shorter. But it's just fun to go down memory lane, and it's fun to share experiences with you folks. And we're anxious to make a little video of the Italian market, just so you can, or 9th Street Market, so you can see. I took my students there a couple times, and they had
Hearts.
a tour. What?
Hearts.
Oh, thanks for the hearts. And they had a tour. I hired an elderly Italian grandmother, and she spoke to the kids harshly, like an Italian grandmother in the Italian market would speak to her grandchildren. But we took the kids through, and they had a nice tour, and everybody was shocked when we came back. When I went, I was used to going to Philadelphia a lot when I was young, and I brought a big old ladies. Thanks for the hearts. I brought actually 2 old lady shopping carts, the ones you pull behind, and I put a garbage bag in each one so stuff wouldn't fall out. So as the kids were shopping, they could throw the stuff in the cart, and they took turns, or I pulled the cart, and they went to like Sarcone's bread, and you go down the basement to watch them bake, and they said, oh, it's so slippery down here. There's cornmeal on the floor so the bread doesn't stick, you know. And another store is just strictly like olive oils and vinegars. And it was really fun to see what the kids would buy and we had lunch, and it was pasta and I don't know what else they gave us. But the kids were thrilled to see what all was out there, because many of them they lived in the suburbs and never went into the city. But it was fun because they bought bread, and they bought olive oil, and they bought cheeses, and some of the stores gave us big trays of food to sample, like a big tray of De Bruno's, I think they're called. They gave the kids a big tray of lunch meat and cheeses to sample. So they really had a nice experience. And I took them to Chinatown. I tried to do different field trips with them when I had them. So I certainly missed teaching. I missed the kids, but my health was such that I no longer could do it.
Julie
But
says roly-voly ball shorts.
oh, I don't know what they are. I'll have to look that up. They might be the little shorts with the suspenders. That's why when my kids were little, I loved all the little golden books, because they had so many of the old-fashioned. The children in the books the drawings were old-fashioned, and the little clothes looked so cute and
She
old-fashioned.
said, what a wonderful experience. She wants to go.
Yeah, who said that?
Candy.
Candy, yeah. Well, when you come to visit your best friend, Candy. But, yeah, I wish we could all get together, and things were differently. And, you know, there was a house along the river here. It's like a McMansion. I mean, really amazing. And a realtor bought it, and I think she thought she was going to use it for like events or something, and I don't know what happened, but she offered to rent it to me for a few days for really inexpensive, because I thought it would be fun to have a retreat and stay in this big fancy McMansion, and it was so inexpensive what she was going to charge me, and then rent a bus and go to the flea market and go into the city, and all these ideas I had. But unfortunately, the property, whatever happened, it went on the market, and she's selling it, and, you know, we're not allowed to mix and mingle, so that really limited it. But I had even a caterer lined up that I could have this caterer come in and prepare the meals, and it was going to be a good idea, but it was an idea that never happened. That's what happens with brainstorming. Not everything happens that you think about. But anyway, that's, we'll call it a day, I guess. Is that how I say it? Call it a day. And
It's not dark yet.
it's not dark yet. And John and I want to get a few things more accomplished, because I'm really anxious to get the room where I feel proud to show you where we are. So we have a little bit to go yet, but we're still plugging along, and I'm going to show you different things or craft as we go. I know I'm on Thursday night at, I think it's 8 o'clock my time. So when I post things, it'll always be my time. But a lot of times I put Eastern Standard Time, which I know that's not what you're supposed to say, EST, but that's what I use, so for Eastern Time. But thanks so much, guys, and we really appreciate your support, and I hope you enjoyed this live, and we're just going to shake it up with what we're doing. So thanks for joining us, and hope you're having a good Sunday. And John's going to hit the goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Au revoir, mes amis.